Alright guys, we've got the bottom on. Yay, it's starting to take shape. We've got a beautiful dome shape on each end. We've got our dome pieces and we are going to start setting them on, or at least one side. We've got to fill it up before we can set the second side. So I am removing all of these clips, and yes, I do have a little bit right there too. So I'm removing all of those clips. I am going to take this and put it over that space, and I am going to start pinning it on. I like short pins. These are much better than the long pins. Those long pins end up sticking you as you go along, but I like my short pins. I don't know, they just work a lot better. So I'm going to show you how I do this. I have learned to focus this. So there you go. I take my pin right at the corner. I go through the end of my dome, and then I am going to go into the corner here. You've got this area where it is 3 places that are coming together. You're gonna just kind of pin that corner the best you can and get that pin to go straight down. It should look something like this. The opposite end, we are going to do the same thing. Again, using a small pin if you have them, putting it through your dome piece just at the corner, and then feed it into that corner where those 3 pieces are going to meet, and press it all the way down. Finally, you go to the top, and best as you can with the center, you're going to find that center the best that you can, touch it to the dome top, and run a pin right behind your stitching. So you can see right behind your stitching and into that edge. From there, just take other pins and secure it along the sides. Again, going behind that stitching. We don't want to go through the stitching because we don't want to pull any of our stitches. We just want to go behind. And we're going to go all the way around this, making sure it is ready for us to stitch. Once you get it set, then you can take your invisible thread or fishing line, and you are going to sew it with a whip stitch just like you did before. The difference is that when you get down to the bottom here, you're going to leave a 1/4 to a 1/2 inch right here at both ends. Try not to leave it right at the corner, just because you've got 3 pieces that come together there, and you don't want it to get fiddly as we're putting cording in. But if you are doing cording, leave 2 little holes about a 1/4 of an inch to a 1/2 inch long on either end so that we can fit that cording. Oh, and this is a good time if you realize that this is not quite fitting. You can trim it a little bit if you need to. You might have to even go back and recut your piece. But this is another chance for you to go on and make sure that it fits before stitching it all together. Alright guys, we've gotten back, we've gotten the end of this taken care of. So now we've got this and it can stand up just like this. Alright, we are going to take it and set it aside. At this point, you need to start working on your internal sock. So you should take out your muslin. If you don't know what muslin is, then I'm not sure what to tell you. It is just cotton fabric. You should have gotten one that is folded in half. It should be the size that you need. If you are not sure what size you need, or if you're working on your second or third piece, then what you need to do is to measure your canvas and add 1 inch to each side. So if your canvas is 8 by 10, you are going to need 9 by 11. Alright, so I'm going to take my needle again, and I'm going to show you how to do this with red thread. So you can do this part by hand or on a machine. I have given you some white thread in case you want to do it by hand. I have a machine at home. I know how to use it, so that's what I usually do mine on, but you may not have that option. If you don't worry. You can do this with just your needle and the thread that is provided. So as you can see, I have taken off a long length, about 36 inches or so, give or take, and I folded it in half. Now you should have a loop on one side. You are going to take that and squeeze it to where it is teeny tiny. I even wet mine so that I can make it really, really tiny. Now the reason that I've given you these embroidery needles instead of the normal needle is because these have a longer eye, and these make it a lot easier for you to put your thread into than normal sewing needles. I am going to run that loop into that eye. I just kind of push the needle into my hand and it does the work. I pull the loop out and show you what it looks like. Alright. Now you see you've got the 2 loose tails up by the top of the needle, by the needle eye, and the loop at the bottom. This is a couture knot, and it's super easy to use, and it's super strong because instead of making a knot and using it against the edge of your fabric, you are just taking your little loop here and you're making a slip knot so that none of your fabric gets bulky. I am putting mine a 1/2 inch from the end. Let me get you focused here a little bit better. There. So I am starting a 1/2 inch from the edge. If you would like, you can take your quilt square and run that along the edge with your pencil or your friction pin and draw that I don't generally, just because it's just easier just for me to do it this way, and I've been doing it forever. So, so you can see I've got that almost pulled through completely. Let me put that behind there. Actually, ha. This should make it a little easier. Now you can see that loop. I am going to catch that loop with my needle, and there's your couture knot, or also known as a slip knot. From there, I want you to go down into the same hole that you first made, come up just a little ways away. I'll show you. Like that. Pull. Again, let me, there. Keep having to manually focus so that I can show you how to do this. Go back through that same hole that you had before. Got a little bit of a mess here. And you're going to come up just a little ways away. See? So what it's going to look like is this. Go back through that hole and then come up next. If you've done significant stitching before, you already know how to do this. And no, I'm not trying to make you feel stupid. There are some newbies that may not know how to do a back stitch, and that is okay. That's my job, is to teach you how to do this. So you're just going to keep going like this all the way in an L shape from here all the way up to here. Just so we can be clear, from here all the way up. You've got your fold on this side, so what it's going to end up with is a sock. I'm going to do this part on my machine and then come back and show you what it looks like. Alright, y'all. I've stitched mine and got my opening. It is all ready to go. I am going to stand my piece up. Hello. I'm going to stand my piece up now. Take out the remainder of these clips. You can do it this way. You can also just fill this on your own, just out like this. You can put it in a cup and fill it that way. It really doesn't matter to me. Also, if you got a kit from me, you also got sand. The sand that I have is play sand. I got it from Home Depot. We did have a little bit of a hiccup in San Diego where the sand wasn't quite dry. Don't use your sand if it's not dry. You can also use other things other than sand. I have used gravel. I've used buckshot. You can use, if you want to be able to stick your needles in it so they can be sharpened, you can put walnut pieces in here. You can do aquarium gravel. There's tons and tons and tons of stuff. I would not recommend beans or rice simply because if this gets wet, they are going to expand and get soggy, and it's going to make a mess and ruin your beautiful piece. So we're not going to do that. Oh, by the way, if you notice, I have these little pads on my fingers. If you have a Cricut, you can make these too. What I use is I order leather patches for couches, and I make a bunch of teeny tiny little ovals and just cut that out on my Cricut. It is vastly better than using thimbles or those thicker pads, because these are really kind of small and thin. So I have this set up. I have about 2 pounds here. You can add more, you can add less. It is up to you. I am filling mine up as much as I can here. And when I am done, I am going to pull this, flip this inside, and stitch across. Thing to note, in my directions, I have you turning this right side out and having this hidden. I still stand by that. It makes it look nice and neat. You won't have any threads. If you want to skip that step, you're more than welcome to. It is not a problem. It just makes it a little less neat. But the top, you really need to fold in, because you're not just making sure that there's a seam there. You are going to go across this a couple of times if you can, and you want to make sure that if anything comes out, it's going against those little folds. If any of that sand comes out, it's going to go against those folds and not just come out. So I have the rest of my sand in the basement. I am going to go get another cup. I am going to fill this up and stitch this closed, and then I'll show you what it looks like. Alright guys, we've got the next piece done. Let me show you up close, and you can see my seam right there. Nice and close. There's my seam. It's all hand back stitched and ready to go into its place. So, alright guys, we've got our sand in. Took a little bit of sand out just because it was a little bit more full than I wanted it to be. I do have some polyfill here that I am putting in the ends. This is a step that you don't have to do. It makes for a little bit more of a filled out feeling to it, and you can use leftover threads or fabric if you want to instead. I'm just filling it just to make it nice and rounded on the bottom. I like mine fairly hard, but you might want yours to be a little bit more floppy. That is up to you. When you are finished, you are going to do the same thing that you did before on this side. You're going to pin it in place and then sew it around. Again, leaving those 2 little open notches on the ends for your cording. Now, speaking of cording, so you can see me. This is my friend. This is called a Lacis cord maker. I like this thing. I like this a lot. It's much better than the normal cord makers that you're used to. This one is battery operated, and it goes much faster, and it's tighter. It makes a tighter cord than the Krynic and some of the other ones that are just the single hook. Speaking of hooks, if you look over this way, I have a hook against the wall. I do a lot of cording, so I always have a hook against the wall to hook my cording onto. And I'll show you how to do that. Okay, to make cording. Alright, to make cording, what you need to do is to measure this piece. I am going to take out my measuring tape. I'm going to measure the length. Wow. Sorry about that. Hi. Okay. I am going to measure the length of my domed framed weight, and I'm going to measure the perimeter of the dome. And now we're going to do a little bit of math. What you want to do for your cording is this: the length of each side, so that's 10 plus 10, and then 2 times the perimeter of the dome, so around and around. That's going to give you 42 inches. That's the length of cording that you need. In order to make that with this particular device, you need to do 42 times 1.5. That is going to give you 63 inches. Now, I have 3 colors. I have 3 colors. Get you here. Alright, I have 3 colors here. I want to do 4 lengths of each color. 4 lengths is going to give me a fairly small cording. I like small cord. As you can see, this is the cording that I've got on here, and this is 3 colors of 4 lengths. What I mean by 4 lengths is that your blue, my blue, there's 4 strands of it. There's 4 strands of the red. There's 4 strands of the white. You can make yours a little bit longer and tie off the ends if you do not have tape. I have my handy dandy Ariel here, and she's really cool, and she's my tape dispenser, so I just use her and I tape the ends. Once I have mine, I get to put it up on my hook. Now, I am not doing the full 63 inches because you don't need that length for me to demonstrate this to you. I am just doing a much shorter, I think this is like 24, 25 inches, something like that. So, it doesn't really matter which one you put up first, as long as they all get on the hook. If you don't want to do a hook, just have a friend hold it, or have your husband hold it, whatever you got to do. Now here's something to note. If you are using the Frameweight cord maker or one of those others that just has the one single hook at the end of it, you can't do it this way. You will need 3 times the length of the cord the 3 times the length of the measurement that you need instead of 1.5, and you can only do 2 colors. There is a way to do 2 colors, and it's a little bit finicky, and I don't have to do it with this cord maker, and I don't even recommend it, so I'm not going to show you how to do that. I like using this because it allows me to do up to 4 colors, and it's super quick, and I don't have to go through all of the mess. So, does not matter which way you put this on, you just have to make sure that it is on the cord maker the same way. So, I had my red on first, my white on second, and then my blue on third. So I want my blue to my left, my white in the center, and my red to my right. From here, I'll show you how to do it. If you look over here, and I will bring you down, you can see that there is a 1 and a 2. In order to make this work, you simply put all of those on the hook, tighten if you need to, and you can just do that by pulling. Oh, and in case you haven't noticed, the way that I get this on here is I push the bottom, that bottom prong there, and it lifts the hook that's located inside this cord maker, and I just tuck that in. And then it's got a little spring in there that closes it back up for me. So, in order to make the cord, you first go number 1. You push it forward, and that makes each of these start spinning on their own. And those are going to twist up really tight. It doesn't take long to do this. You can see mine's starting to get a little bit shorter, and I'm allowing the cord maker to move toward that. I'm going to bring you a little closer so you can see what the cord should look like. You can see it's starting, especially the white, that it's starting to get a little bit wavy. You want it to get a little bit more. See how it's really wavy? At the point that it gets really wavy like that, you are going to take your cord maker and pull back to number 2. And that twists all of those cords together. Now what I do is I keep on twisting until the bottom here starts to twist on itself. Let me see if I can make sure you can see that. Okay. Let's see. Oops. Hold on. Sorry. Hold on. Sorry. Okay. There. Let me see if I can get you to see that a little bit better. Zooming in here, you should be able to see that the white is folding in on the red and the blue, and that's what we are wanting. When you see that, take a little bit of tape, put it over the edge there, and wrap it all the way around. do not take it off of the cord maker yet. And do not take it off of the hook. Now you go up here at the top and you do the same thing at this end. That ensures that it's not going to come unwound. From here you can take a pair of scissors. Again, I love these scissors. And cut. And you can cut. Alright, you can see that it did come untwisted a little bit. That's okay, because as you put this on your piece, you are going to twist it. Okay. So I'm going to show you how this is done. Alright. I have a pair of hemostats to do this. You don't have to use them. You can just take the edge of your cording and tuck it into the hole. If you have a pair of hemostats, they might be helpful to you, but you just want to tuck this into the hole. From there, use a little pin to hold this in place. Then you twist and as you twist it really tight, you pin it down. That is how you attach the cord. For me, the way that I did this dome is I did the end here first and the other side second, and I tucked those into those edge holes and got those sewn in. Then I went around with the rest of the cord and did the perimeter of each end. And that is how I ended up coming up with this. And you can see when you get finished, everything is all nice and tucked into the edges, and you can't even hardly tell it. Everything is just sewn in and it looks all nice and neat, and you just go back and forth between the fabric and the threads and tie it off with your knots about 3 times, and you have a beautiful domed frame weight. If you have any questions, please reach out to me at Brandi@messmaker.net. That's BRANDI at MESSMAKER.net. Or you can call my number 678-907-3896. I have no problems at all helping you through any of the hard places, and I can even Zoom with you if you need. I hope that you had fun making this domed frame weight. I hope you will join me again for another class. Please give me some feedback if I did very well, or if I didn't do so well, or if there's just one word that I just keep saying over and over and over again and really need to stop. Alright, thank you so much. Have a great day and happy stitching.